New figures out this morning from the Office for National Statistics show there's a record number of people not working due to long-term sickness. And getting them back into the workforce, especially for the over 50s, is expected to be a key focus of the Chancellor's budget tomorrow.
Someone who's recently been struggling with his health, one of Britain's most decorated sportsmen, Sir Steve Redgrave. He was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes at 35 years old, but describes recently gaining weight, feeling depressed and tired. And it wasn't until a surprise discovery of low testosterone that all this changed. And Sir Steve Redgrave joins us now. Very good morning to you.
Good morning.
And lots of people will find it interesting that you were diagnosed with diabetes, type 2 diabetes, so young. That diagnosis must have come as something of a
There's
shock.
diabetes in my family. My grandfather had diabetes in his late 60s, early 70s, and didn't survive much longer than that. I was very young when he passed away. So that there was a trait, and with diabetes is that you can follow it in family lines. Maybe not generation after generation. It tends to skip a year, but that was still a surprise to me, especially in the middle of not the middle, coming to the end of my rowing career.
Yes, and then
a bit of a shock.
After that diagnosis, then you went on to continue to achieve at the top level, didn't you? You won another gold medal.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
3 years before the Sydney Olympics. Winning that last gold medal with diabetes.
Yeah, which is, and you obviously got it under control and managed it. But it's interesting that recently you say over the last few years you noticed you gaining weight, becoming tired, becoming depressed, losing your get up and go, and you put it down to your age. Dare I say, that is the description that a lot of women of your age might use to describe the menopausal symptoms.
Yeah, I think there are some links that I don't think there is really a male's menopause, but as much as there is within women's. But there certainly seems to be links, especially with testosterone of being low, especially being a diabetic. There's a huge percentage of diabetics do have problems of that sort of ilk.
Of course, you've been all your professional sporting life. You've been really used to paying really close attention to your body and your health and reading the signals. Did you find more recently, once you'd stopped being kind of top-level competitive, that you were taking those symptoms as seriously as you would have done 20 years ago? Or did you just sort of think, oh, well, you know, this is just natural and normal for this to happen?
Well, you think it's normal. That's the whole process. It was 22 years ago that I was a top athlete, so it's a long time ago, almost a rowing career for me of being to 5 Olympics of that. But yeah, you just think of now into my 60s is that you just think it's the ageing process. And
that would have been a mistake?
Well, yes, it seems to be. And especially with diabetes, of the links across there. And just thinking, well, I'm tired of not getting this get up and go. And it was quite a close friend that sort of pointed me towards of having a blood test and seeing, and then sort of seeing the links of testosterone to diabetics especially, but just with the general health of ageing men.
We all know that men are terrible about talking to their partners, going to the GP, kind of, it's so easy just to think, oh, well, you know, if I wait it or go away. What advice would you give people watching the show if they are seeing in themselves or in their partners that kind of behavioural change? What should they do?
Well, the first thing is going to chat to your GP, which is us as men, as you were rightly saying, don't do. And it tends to be our other halves that are the key link here of that our other halves notice the difference more than we notice the difference. So it's getting those links through. And for me, it was a blood test that sort of shown this
and made it real
possibility very much.
It was actually a thing rather than just a feeling.
Exactly.
Yeah. Dr. Hillary, we put out a call this morning for people who are affected by illness, long-term sickness, record numbers of long-term sickness causing people not to be in the workplace. The Chancellor needs people over 50 to come back to work. What do you think are the issues here? I mean, I thought it was so interesting. These symptoms do sound like menopausal symptoms, a male menopause, low testosterone.
Sure.
I mean, women are prescribed testosterone in order to increase their energy.
Indeed, but with women, the hormone levels fall off a cliff. They fall down very dramatically. With men, it's very different. They get a 1% drop in testosterone after the age of about 35. And there are lots of overlaps in the symptoms between depression, between obesity and low testosterone. So low mood, low libido, lack of energy. And it's quite a complex issue. We haven't proven a causal link between low testosterone and diabetes, type 2 diabetes, but there is a link. You tend to put on more visceral fat with low testosterone, and we know that obesity is a precursor to diabetes. So it needs to be looked at more, but it's very interesting, and men probably should get a blood test if they're feeling those symptoms and it's not attributed to other things.
Is it easy, though, to get a blood test? I think as a man, you're always worrying that, you know, they're busy, they've got more important things to do. If I go along, will I just be a bit of a pain? Do I want to reveal what's going on? What advice would you give to people?
I think if you're a man sort of approaching 50s, 60s, you're feeling low in mood, if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling that you've got no energy and you can't explain it, then I think, yes, a simple blood test is well worth having. It has to be interpreted in the right way. The GP can do that for you if you go. Absolutely, but low testosterone isn't always translated into symptoms, and some people have symptoms with normal levels of testosterone, so it's quite complex.
Yeah, and obviously that's just one issue. I mean, here are a huge number of comments. Katie Ann, I worked 50 hours a week very happily until getting long COVID, and now my life has changed completely. I loved my job. I'm now unable to do normal daily activities, dressing, washing, making food. I'm sure that's obviously feeding into the long-term sickness. Helen says, I'm 50 plus, I've gone part-time for 2 reasons: help with childcare and to help elderly parents. Target someone else, Chancellor. I'm knackered, says Helen. Very much firmly in that sandwich generation between caring for your parents and caring for your children. Stephen, I gave up work last summer due to health reasons. Edward, I'm now 59. I've worked over 40 years. I've recently asked for reduced hours. I feel I no longer have the energy to work full time. I'll be on less pay, but see no other option. Maybe the pandemic has affected me.
I think the pandemic did affect it. There was a reset. Yes. People realised that working from home actually has benefits. They couldn't face the commute anymore. And it's changed the way we think about how hard we work. Also, people can take their pensions now from 55, and that changes the calculations people make.
So, Steve Redgrave, great to see you this morning. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
Really opened up a very useful conversation.
Amount of comments.
I was a rower too, not in his. I was a minnow compared, but this is one of my heroes I'm sitting here with.
Yes, he's a hero to all of us.
It's important that we get men talking about health. Most of those messages there were from women. Let's get the men talking about it.
I agree.
Absolutely right.
For some reason, men find it harder, so it's really important you speak out.